Okay, so what we have to do is cloud storage and security, right? Because we did up to this point with security. Mm, right. And you know what cloud is, right? Cloud is another name for internet. Is another name for internet, and uh, cloud is many people use cloud because they want to share their files in the internet, and then they can use in different devices, using different devices. Many companies use cloud to share their company related information among branches and to communicate. So cloud is something that we have to use these days, right? uh, so in some way or another, we'll be using the cloud, right? You are using Google services, and cloud is involved. You're using Office 365 as students. Cloud is involved. So we have to use the cloud, right? But the problem is the security, right? Many advantages of cloud storage relate to the security and availability, and this is why many people are reluctant to use the cloud, right? Cloud storage provider is responsible for hardware of your data stored in. Now, these are the advantages. Like, okay, why would you go for cloud, right? You would go for cloud because you're not maintaining your cloud. Your organization is not maintaining cloud, right? For example, here in school, we use Office 365, and it's managed by not Gateway but Microsoft, right? So we know that these people have been there in this for many years, and they use the latest technology, latest hardware, software, so they are able to provide the best security out there. They will need to ensure that the data is accessible, and then they maintain the hardware and software needed to make the software available. So they do everything. They do the maintenance, they do the upgrading, right? They do the security uh, applications. We don't have to worry about that. So that's one of the advantages, right? If you have any doubts, any questions, ask me. The amount of storage available to an organization can easily be changed when required, as and when required. Now, if we maintain our own cloud, we will have to purchase hard disk and servers and increase the capacity on our own. That takes time and also money. But here, you just need to ask them to increase the storage. So this is also called the scalability, right? Write these things, huh? Scalability. You are able to increase or even decrease. If you don't want extra storage, you can decrease, right? So it's just a matter of subscribing or paying them rental, and they will do it immediately. Sometimes these scalability options are automated. You don't need to contact their customer support even. The cloud storage provider can normally make extra storage available in minutes. Doing this physically would mean ordering more hard drives, employing technicians. See, right? It would take a longer time than few minutes. Having data stored off-site. What do you mean by off-site? It's not in your organization; it's out of the organization. If it is inside the organization, we call it on-site. Means that it is protected from loss due to fire. This is something you learn in backup, right? When you take backups, you need to keep one backup off-site. Why would you do that? If you lose the original and your primary backup, on-site backup, you lose both. But if you keep an off-site backup, uh, actually this is also backup data stored off-site. It's difficult to be destroyed due to fire, theft, right? Breakdowns, electrical failure, and so on, right? Even if your organization is totally demolished, still your files will be there because you have kept in another country server. This could, as the data is still available, the business may be carried from elsewhere, right? Right. Let's say thieves break into your organization and they destroy all the computers. No problem. Right. Even though the computers are damaged, your files are stored elsewhere, offsite. This could be the difference between staying in business or going bankrupt. Imagine a bank. Imagine an organization which deals with sensitive information. Many cloud storage systems also manage the backup of your data. So you don't have to backup. You don't have to worry about backup. They do the backup for you. They may take hourly or daily snapshots without you even knowing, right? And they will be able to restore the files in a matter of seconds. Now, one example is, you create if you create contacts in your smartphone in Google, you can anytime you can reset your phone, hard reset even, and then sell the phone, buy a new phone. You don't want to worry about adding the contacts again. You just need to connect to that Google account, and automatically it will start syncing those accounts to your device. I think you have experienced that, right? And that's an example of backup. I can remember those days when we had those chutti phones, small butter phones. We wrote down the contacts. We usually stored the contacts on the SIM because there was no internal storage. And then we used to access the contacts and we wrote it down in a paper. And then we added them one by one to the new phone. That's how it was back then. But now it's pretty easy because of the accounts like Google accounts, right? So in the case of hardware failure or accidental deletion, you are still able to get back your files. Okay. Any questions? Any questions from that?
No, sir.
Any questions?
No, sir.
Any questions, Harun? Just it. Netma, you just joined, but I have recorded this.
No, sir.
Harun, why do you say no, no, sir?
I don't have any questions, sir.
All right, okay. Okay, right. However, there are some problems with the cloud, right? This is why people are reluctant to go for cloud. Uh, Jasit, do you have any questions?
No, sir.
right? You are relying on a third party storage provider. Okay, so how can you trust them, right? Even though even big companies have failed, right? So definitely not, you can't do it with a less known company. But reputed companies, of course, their chances of failing will be quite less because they have fault tolerant systems, right? What happens if the cloud storage provider goes bankrupt, right? And it will have a catastrophic effect on you, danger, right? Uh, and has its server stolen. In any case, it would likely you would be unable to access your data, right? At least temporarily, right? But possibly permanently. Uh, so that's up to you, actually, up to the organization, right? But the best thing is, I think, is to decide on uh, what data to be stored, right? You should not store everything, right? All the files, all the sensitive data in cloud. Instead, you should maintain your own backup systems and your system, your important files, sensitive files. Only the files that can be shared, that need to be shared, should be uploaded to the cloud, right? So you have to have a kind of a policy, and you have to be carefully. Data stored anywhere else via the internet carries the risk of other people gaining access to it. Okay. Now you know that these people have regional servers, right? Servers in different countries. So how do you know about the legislation in these countries? Right? What will happen if something goes wrong in these countries? Right? And those if those regional servers are hacked, right? Can happen due to deliberate attack by hackers as a result of accidental error, right? uh, Results can go to the public, can be made available to the public, right? Also, the internet isn't particularly secure network. Data may be accessed as it is being sent. So you have to check whether the cloud provider is using encryption, latest encryption tools, methods. You should read their terms and conditions. I mean, their what do you call privacy notes and things like that. The loss of data, particularly of a confidential nature, could be devastating to an organization. Users of cloud storage have to assume that the people providing the service are trustworthy. The cloud storage provider might have its servers located in different countries. That's the thing, right? And now we connect to our cloud from anywhere, from multiple devices, right? But for us, it appears as a single account. But did you know? Do you really know the physical location of your data? We never know, right? It may be from. I mean, surely it is coming from another country, not from the mother company. Okay. Some types of data can only legally be stored in countries that have similar data protection laws. So what if those countries don't have proper data protection laws, right? Access to cloud storage is dependent on having a reliable, high-speed internet connection. Now that's one of the other problems, right? If you don't have access to a fast internet connection, since you are going to send and receive a lot of data, that can have a have an effect on the organization or an individual level. We saw that in the school also, we saw it a couple of times, right? Before they increase the bandwidth. How will a business operate if the internet becomes unavailable for some reason? Let's say the business is having to move from place to place, right? It's an organization which has a business where employees have to move from place to place. So then they might not have access to the access to internet everywhere, right? There can be connection losses, low speeds that can have a huge impact on cloud storage, right? But however, there are advantages, disadvantages. But the current trend is for organizations to move towards cloud, but that has to be done very carefully. Right? You can even look at how we moved to cloud, how the school moved to cloud, and how what were the benefits that we got, and how we should maintain it for future. Just open your minds and think logically, right? Okay. The decision, the decision to use cloud storage involves carefully weighing up. That's what I told you, right? Cloud storage involves carefully weighing up the advantages and, against disadvantages. Many of the disadvantages present risk the operation of an organization, but the impact of some of these can be reduced. Many cloud storage providers will store your data in multiple locations so that flood, fire, hardware, electrical will have no major impact. You can encrypt your data, right? So you can you can ask the cloud service providers to give you the details of that technology, like what kind of encryption tools they use, like systems they use. And also you can even go for a like package with more features, even though it's more expensive. So that all depends on how you take the decision, right? Okay, because they always offer different packages. Even in the free package, you can have the cloud access, right? Next is about NAS, network attached storage. One reason to develop system is network attached storage. NAS is a hardware device that is connected to a network to provide file storage for any device connected to that network. So it's basically like a hard disk that is connected to the network, which can be shared by other computers. A typical NAS device designed for home uh, could consist of a single hard drive associated with the network hardware, while an organization NAS might consist of many hard drives, like a hard disk array, right? Obviously, you won't see the hard disk the open, right? It won't be just an open hard disk which is connected to network. There will be a hardware device, uh, and it will be connected to the network using an Ethernet cable. And in an organization setup, there will be like a system unit like thing where you have so many hard drives connected together. It's called a hard disk array. NAS devices often include wide range of additional features. So that means there should be software to manage the hard disk space, such as allowing access over internet. Specialist app to allow smartphones and tablets to access the files stored on the NAS easily. NAS devices are designed for ease of use rather than being secure. Okay, now that's a point, right? Rather than being secure. So you can see that's where it changes from the cloud. Once NAS is connected to the internet, it becomes possible for it to be hacked remotely. Home users often make mistakes such as not changing the device's default password, right? Just like they don't change the default password of the CCTV, they don't change the default password of the router. Here also, they will not change the default password of the NAS device. This gives access to the stored files to anyone who looks up the default password, right? Now, this default password is the same for all the devices, right? All the instances of the same device. And if anyone is used to that default password, they can easily log into that. Not updating the software running on the NAS. So there should be a software to manage the NAS storage. So if you don't update that, there can be malware trying to attack the outdated software, because outdated software can have bugs. whereas the updated software can have fixed the bugs, right? Manufacturers tend to release updated software to fix security weaknesses as they found. If software isn't kept up to date, these weaknesses might be used to gain access storage, stored data. Okay. So if you compare this with cloud, the main thing is that you'll notice that this is just a storage device which can be connected to a network. Whereas now normally we connect the hard drive to our computer, right? But this is a system where the hard drive is directly connected to the network, right? Either for home use, right? In home use, of course, you can maintain it as a media storage. Like if you want, you can keep songs, uh, movies there, and then you can stream them to your TV. Or else in a organization setup, you can have it to provide the storage space for employees, so that employees they have a disk quota given to them, and they log into their account and store the files in the NAS storage instead of storing in their own computer, right? This is useful especially if the organization is providing you know what is the shift basis for their employees, right? Shift basis, so that let's say you have only 10 computers. In the morning you get 10 employees who logs into their account and store the files in the NAS. Then when they leave, another set of employees come. They also use the same computers. Again, they log into their own account and they store the files in the NAS. So you can have limited number of devices providing part-time or sorry, the shift basis access to your employees. Right? That is also called roaming profiles. Roaming profiles. Okay, so they can save cost on their hardware. Any questions?
No, sir.
So one thing that you learn from here is that when you get a device, when you purchase any device, make sure that you change the default password. That's very, very important, right? There are ways to minimize the security risks to data when using NAS or similar device. Firstly, decide if the data does indeed have to be accessible over the internet, right? That's same with the cloud. NAS is the correct storage device for the data. Is it the correct storage? If the data needs to be available over the internet, then ensure you use a complex password. Remove any default passwords. Make sure that you update the software, right? Change default passwords, then update software. Or these software the software can also include firmware also, right? Right, update software and even firmware. What are firmware? Firmware. What are firmware? Yes, firmware. Give me an example. Now, firmware are the instructions written into microchips, the ROM chips, usually ROM chips or EPROM. What's the difference between like software and firmware? I mean, give me an example. Software and firmware. Give me
So
a,
read-only memory.
huh? Yeah.
Read-only.
Firmware is written to either ROM or EPROM, erasable programmable read-only memory. Okay, or flash memory. But an example, if you give an example, these are usually used to operate the computer, no? Firmware, operate the computer or device or anything. Even the mobile phone or smartphone has firmware. You must have heard about firmware upgrade, right? So something like BIOS in the computer, basic input output system, which checks whether all the input output devices are working properly. Then if you take a software, of course, that would be like Word, right? That's software, or even operating system.
Smart cards.
What?
Smart cards.
Smart card?
Yeah.
Smart card is not software, I mean.
No, no, no. Like it's a firmware.
You mean the smart card device
Yeah.
reader? Yeah, of course, of course. Any device has firmware, right? Because they have a small microchip built in where the instructions are given. Like that's how it gets started. Even the mouse, for example, the moment you give a put a battery, it starts running, right? First, it should run, right? If the device should start running first. For that, we need the firmware, right? And then on top of that, once it is running, we should have another software to operate, to interact with. That's the job of the OS. And then on top of OS, we run other application programs so that we can get our work done. That's with the computer. But even other equipment, they have a small OS, or a small scale OS, which provides the menu, right? Which interacts with you, which offers you, uh, I mean, which responds to your selections. Okay, but first of all, the firmware should be there to for the startup. Another widely used storage device is the USB flash drive. You know about this. It's easy to transport, it's portable, cheap, and provides huge capacity in a small physical space, convenient to use. Another feature is it's solid state. Solid state, you write this, okay? Solid state. Solid state means it can withstand drops, can withstand drops and shocks. Right? And also another advantage of USB flash is it provides higher data transfer speeds, right? Higher data transfer speeds because it's flash storage, right? Data transfer speeds and even read writes. Data transfer, read and write, read write, write these, okay? Read write speeds because it's flash. It's made up of flash. All right. The disadvantage is that people can carry large amounts of possibly sensitive information around them using the flash drive, and they might forget the flash drive. That often happens to me also. I forget the flash drive once it is plugged in, and it can easily get lost. Anyone can find a lost flash drive, access information, right? So it's important that you put a password to your flash drive and encrypt the files in there. At least put a folder lock to the folders in a flash drive. Have a master folder, root folder, lock it, or the drive, lock the drive. To overcome this, encrypted flash drives are available. They are unreadable until a password or a number of code is given. The USB storage device also presents ideal opportunity for an employee to steal data, perhaps to sell somebody. Okay, usually what happens is, right, these employees, right, employees in the organization will take someone else's or possibly a hacker's pen drive and go and plug into the network, and that's it. Then it will start spreading malware, right? uh, so employees can be used, can be hired, can be used to plug pen drives with malware. What they do is they open backdoors for hackers to enter, right? These can open backdoors for hackers. Understand? Right. Okay. Okay, have we come to the end? We have to do up to 232. That's more. Okay. Let's do a little bit more. Okay. Next, they're talking about some types of attacks, some types of security threats. These things you already know. So let's go through them quickly. Cyber is another term for internet, World Wide Web, and cyber attack is any kind of threat that you get through internet or network or World Wide Web. Any kind of attack, electronic attack on computer systems, server, network, or other devices, right? And through a cyber attack, people will try to gain access to data. They might delete or modify information, make a system unavailable, like putting it into DOS attack, denial of service attack, physically damage the device connected to the network. They might even break into the lab or uh, server room and break the system, right? Just bring a hammer and crush everything, right? Once that kind of thing happened, I may have shared it with you also. In a lab where I work, some thieves broke into the lab at night, and then they didn't have any tools. Even they just pulled all the hard disk, and you know power supplies and everything, and then they ran away. And then they sold them black market also. So those are the people who don't have any technical knowledge, but they know how to steal. Types of cyber attacks: social engineering, right? Even yesterday, uh, Harun, you remember, he talked about that hacker guy talked about social engineering is the most common way of attacking someone or a company. Why? Because this is easy to do, right? Attacks that rely on exploiting the human behavior. So they keep an eye on you, right? Your interest and your vanity and everything, right? Behavior, your qualities, and then they find problems in your personality, and then they attack through them, right? Something like your greediness, right? They offer something, uh, some valuable thing, saying that you have won this, right? But before doing that, they will closely monitor you. If you are an iPhone lover, they will closely monitor you uh, for a long period, and then only they will send the advertisement about the iPhone offer, or maybe that letter, right, of winning iPhone as a gift, and then you fall into the trap. So it's a trap. Often referred to as social engineering. This is because attack will engineer a situation. For that engineering, it takes time. Targeting the person. Sometimes they target a person, an individual, or they can target a group of people, or simply they will try on a large group of people. Anyone who is foolish, right, will fall into the trap. Gives away confidential information or gives access to the confidential information, right, without knowing. Common methods are fishing. You know already what fishing is. Shoulder surfing, that's easy, and farming, right? Okay, what is fishing? Tell me, what do you know about fishing? Tell me some characteristics of phishing attack. Yeah, that's it. Some characteristics of phishing attack. You have done this since you were small, right? Phishing. Phishing actually comes from actual fishing, because in fishing also we try to catch a fish by putting a bait, and the unfortunate fish will eat the bait. So here also we do the same thing, right? It's an attempt to get sensitive and confidential information from the user. Phishing attack is targeting username and passwords or financial details. So what do they do? They will try to divert you or take you to a fake site, right? Through an email, usually through an email, right? Usually through an email. And this fake site will look exactly like the original site or the legit site, and then you fall into the trap. But nowadays, emails, of course, they have spam filters. Therefore, it's difficult for you to carry out the attack. So what they do is they try other methods like instant messaging and phone calls. They can even call you. Now, one of the easiest method of tricking a person is through a phone call. You know why? Because you can pretend to be calling from his or her bank, right? And say like, okay, your account has a problem. We want to rectify it. Can you please